Hello, you are welcome to this class on control structures. So the previous recording I did, uh, I had explained some introductory object-oriented programming concepts. So in order to continue further on that, so I would like us to take a look at some basics, which is regarding control structures. So basically, any programming language uh, is built around three different styles, types of instructions. So every programming language contain any or all of those programming, any of those types of statements. So as you know, programming is about making statements that the computer would understand. So the first one I would mention here is sequential statements. Here's what I found. We have sequential statements. We have control or selection statements. Selection statements, and then we have what we call the repetitive statements. Okay, so the selection statements basically they are the if and else statements that we have already taken a look at. Okay, so basically you have series of statements, but only one of them gets selected, and the one selected is going to be selected based on the condition. So, for example, let's take a look at something like this. You have uh, a variable score that equals 100, for example, and then you have a condition like this: if score is greater than or equal to 60. Okay, I need to set up a main method first. Yep, so I'll just put this here. Okay, if score greater or equal to 60, I would say that congrats, you passed the test. Okay, then the other option would be something like this. You have to take this. So these are two different statements, right? So and depending on the condition here, on how this condition appears happens to be true or false, then the right statement will be executed. So if score at this point equal, okay, at the moment it's 100. So if I run this now, ideally I should have congrats, you passed the test, and yes, that's exactly what I have. So what if the person scores 30 now? Okay, so this is going to execute to false now, and then I should have the second statement here executing. Okay, so basically this is what I mean by selection statement. We've already taken a look at this, so I'll just move forward to repetitive statements. So, for example, repetitive statements, something we also work with day in the day out. So, for example, you go to a store, right, and then you have a budget. Okay, so let's say your budget is 20,000. Okay, so in as long as you have not exceeded this budget, you want to continue adding stuff to your cart, right? So let's say, so we could just do something. This is where the while statement comes in. So you can do something like while budgets less than 20,000, right? Less than. So here I would just say, okay, add add the next add the next item to cart. So as long as this will be this is a repetition. So this statement here continues to execute. It continues to execute. It continues. So that's the nature of repetitive statements. So in order to okay, so take a look at a practice question here. Let's take a look at the practice question here that demonstrates the capabilities of a while statement and so on like that. So here we have a class of 10 students took a quiz. Okay, this is the grades are from 0 to 100 for this quiz are available to you. Okay, determine the class average. Okay, so this is interesting now. So I want to take a look. I want to calculate the class average here. So how do we do that now? So basically, I would like to jot down the steps. So the first thing is, as we can probably tell, uh, we need a variable for total score. Since average is often the total score of all the 10 students, right? Okay, set up a total a total score like this and initialize to 0. So basically, at before you start adding the scores of the total score of students will always start from 0, right? Okay. Then when you add the score of the first student, it will be 0 plus. Let's say the first score is 50, so 0 plus 50 is 50. Then the next person probably scored 60, then 50 plus 60, then you continue to add. So, but initially, the total score is going to be a 0. Okay. Then the next step, um, so the next step I would want to do is to set up a counter, right? So that counter is going to count the number of students that it's going to keep count of the number of students that I have added their scores, right? Okay. So let's say a counter variable initialized to 1. So in this case, I'm sure that we have 10 students. Okay. So we're in a situation where I don't even know if any students will be added. I will just initialize to 0. But from this question, I know that there are 10 students, so I'm initializing to 1. Okay. Initialize to 1 to keep count of number of scores. Okay. Then the next thing I would want to do is then to set up the while loop. Okay. The while loop. So to execute as long as the counter is not greater than 10. So yeah, let me get started now. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to be using the scanner class. So and I would like to use the scanner class just for the purpose of. So I would like to use this scanner class just to add the. So I just use this scanner class to accept input from the user. So so apart from that, I would like to create a separate method for this. So I would call this method so public. So I intend to let this method here return. Okay, let me just call it void calculate average. Calculate average. Okay. So I'm going to perform all of these guys inside this method. Okay. So this is going to I intentionally want to do this so that we can get used to the idea of methods and breaking down our code into smaller units. and then we can always reuse this method from time to time. So to get started, I would want to initiate to create an object of scanner equals new scanner. Then the file source is system.in to represent my keyboard. So this syntax I've initialized an object of scanner. Then the next step would be to set up this variable. So I'll say int total score. Okay, from the beginning it's 0. Okay. Okay. Then the next one is the counter variable that is initialized to 1. So I'll just say grade counter. So it's basically I want to be counting the grades, right? Initialized to 1. Okay. Wait. See. Yeah, okay. So yeah. So basically it's the while loop I need now. So I'll just add while. Okay. So and the condition I want to set up here is while the grade counter, right, is less than or equal to 10. Okay. So what would happen here is that uh so the grade count I want the grade counter to increase by 1 by a step of 1. So after it's increased, okay, so the first thing here is I would need to uh I'll need to prompt the user, right? Okay. So prompt the user, enter a grade, basically a score, right? Okay. So I'll just say int grade equals scanner dot next int. Okay, so basically whatever value the user enters via the keyboard gets saved into this variable. Okay, so once this is done, then the next thing to do would be I need to don't forget that I need this total score, right? So in this one, I'll just say total score will be equal to total score plus grade. Okay, so for example, now my total score begins at 0, right? So at the first iteration, the user would enter a score, right? Okay, so once the user enters this score, don't forget that the value of total score is 0 at first. So it will be 0 plus grade, which is the value the user has entered. So if he enters 30, for example, 0 plus 30 becomes the value of total score. Okay, then this same procedure. Okay, then the next thing is I'll now increment my grade counter equals grade counter plus 1. Okay, so it means at this point after I've entered this user, then grade counter is going to be what? It will be increased by 1 to 2. So it means I'm going to have to enter the second score, right? So then this gets played out all over again. So once all of this is done, okay, I think I need to initialize the grade here. It's grade. Yes. So just come here, please. Okay, so I think we are good to go now. So out here now, so basically it's the average I need to calculate here. So I would just say double average equals to be total score, right? Divided by grade counter, which should be 10. Okay, so once this is done, we can now run. I can run this. Okay, let me just divide by 10 here. Okay, so let me run this now. So how do I run it? I need to call this method from inside here. So firstly, let me cut this away from here, place it here. Yes. Okay. So to use this method now, this calculates average method. So I need to create an object of this control structures class before I can be able to use that method. So I'll just come here, control structures. I'll say control, just a variable name because new control structures. So I'll just say control dot calculate average. Okay, I think so here I'll just say so I need to print out the average. Okay, average. So let me use printf just so that I can format this text. Average of the scores is percentage of 2f. I want it to be 2 digits after the decimal, right? So I'll just set average. Okay, so yeah, let's run this. Of course, once I run this, all of this would execute. So let me just do this. Okay, so it says enter a grade, right? So this should come up at least 10 times. This is 70, 89, 90, 88, 7, 82, 28, 90, 80, 88, 80. So it says average of the scores is what? 88. So just to be sure, another thing I would like to also print out here is this. I would like to print out a number of so I'll just say number of scores just to be sure that we're having so that would be so let me run this again so that we can see how this guy has worked so far. So let's say 90, 89, 92, 93, 98, 78, 90, 93, 95, 67. Okay. So it says number of scores is 11. So which shouldn't be. Uh, okay, so it means when it got to the 11th point, that is when it exited. So yeah, I think basically we are quite on point. So just to be sure, I may even want to count one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Good. So we are on point. So yeah, I think it's at the 11th point that yeah, it's at the 11th point that we are trying to that it then exits. So I could just set this to yeah. So I think we're fine. So yeah, basically this is how the while loop would work. So repetition, right? So this set of statements here continue to repeat themselves. It continues to repeat themselves until when this condition is no longer true, and then it exits from the loop. Okay, so basically that's how a while loop would work. And yep, so I would encourage that you code along with this video. Okay, so I'd encourage that you code along with this video. And then in the next video, we are going to take this same example to the next level. So we are instead of this kind of condition, I would want to use like a sentinel value. So a sentinel value is also another way of making a while or to exit from the condition of a while loop. So if you have a while loop that doesn't exit, that you could get a sort of an infinite loop and it just continues to run infinitely. So would expand this example in our next recording, and then yeah, we'll see another sort of capability that we can add to this. So until then, yeah, I hope you understand this. And then if you have any other questions, you feel free to reach out to me. I will definitely give you a response. Thanks.